Elon Musk, the man reshaping the future. If you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing and liking the video. It truly helps the channel grow. Elon Musk's life story begins far from rockets, electric cars, and global headlines. It starts in a quiet neighborhood in Pretoria, South Africa, where a small boy spends more time inside his own mind than anywhere else in the world around him. Elon Reeve Musk is born on June 28, 1971. His mother, May, is a Canadian model and nutritionist who juggles multiple jobs and reinvents herself more than once in her life. His father, Errol, is a South African engineer who can fix almost anything mechanical. The house is full of books, tools, and complicated emotions. For young Elon, the surest escape is reading. He devours science fiction, fantasy, encyclopedias, and comics. Stories about distant planets, brave explorers, and impossible machines feel less like entertainment and more like a preview of what life could be. He is not an athletic or popular child. At school he is small, shy, and easy to pick on. Groups of boys beat him up, once so badly that he ends up in the hospital. He walks hallways with caution, trying to avoid being noticed, but in class his mind flies elsewhere. Teachers sometimes need to tap him on the shoulder because he seems to vanish into thought. Later he will say that when he thinks about a problem, the outside world simply fades away. Two things change his life early: computers and the idea of America. At around age 10 he discovers his first computer, a Commodore VIC-20. It comes with a thick programming manual written for adults. Elon sits down with it and, over the course of 3 days, teaches himself the basic language that is supposed to take months to learn. Soon he writes a simple space-themed video game called Blastar and sells its code to a magazine. Earning money from something he built out of pure logic shows him that software is a kind of magic, lines of text that can do real things in the world. At the same time, he grows more aware of the country he lives in. South Africa in the 1980s is under apartheid, ruled by a white minority government, and mandatory military service looms ahead. Elon wants no part of enforcing a system he finds unjust. He also feels that the future he dreams about, the future of space exploration, advanced technology, and global change, seems to happen somewhere else. Again and again he hears one country named in connection with that future, the United States of America. His mother's Canadian citizenship gives him a possible path. At 17, he leaves South Africa for Canada with little money and a belief that he has to move first and figure out the rest later. The journey is not glamorous. He does odd jobs, stays with relatives, and slowly builds a base for himself. He enrolls at Queen's University in Ontario in 1990, then transfers to the University of Pennsylvania, where he studies physics and economics. Physics gives him a way of thinking about how reality actually works. Economics teaches him how systems of people and money work. Together they become the twin lenses he will use to look at every problem in his life. What does physics allow, and how can business make it happen at scale? At Penn he is not the stereotypical carefree student. He studies hard, but he also keeps a notebook of business ideas: low-cost space missions, solar energy companies, online services. He believes that 3 areas will reshape the future of humanity: the internet, sustainable energy, and space. After graduation he is accepted into a PhD program in applied physics at Stanford University. He lasts exactly 2 days. The internet is exploding, and he feels that if he stays in school, the moment will pass. He drops out and decides to start a company. In 1995, with his brother Kimball, he found Zip2, a company meant to help newspapers put maps and business listings online. Today that sounds obvious, back then it is new and uncertain. They rent a tiny office in Palo Alto. Elon sleeps on a futon and showers at the YMCA. He codes day and night, chasing down bugs and improving features. When investors visit, he straightens up the office and tries to look more like a stable operation than the half-scrappy, half-exhausted startup it really is. Zip2 slowly gains clients and revenue. In 1999, Compaq buys the company for nearly $300 million. Elon's personal share makes him a multimillionaire at 27. For many people, that would be the happy ending. For Musk, it is just the starting fuel. He quickly pours much of that money into his next venture, XCOM, an online financial services and payments company. He believes that banking is ripe for reinvention in the internet age. XCOM makes it easy to send money by email and manage accounts online. After a merger with a rival called Confinity, the company narrows its focus to online payments and becomes PayPal. Inside the company, Musk pushes for fast growth and ambitious ideas, sometimes clashing with other executives. He serves as CEO for a time, is later replaced, but remains a major shareholder. In 2002, eBay buys PayPal for about $1.5 billion in stock. Once again, Musk walks away with a fortune, this time larger than before. Now he faces a choice. He could retire, buy an island, and live in comfort forever. Instead, he remembers the three big areas he identified earlier: the internet, sustainable energy, and space. He has already had success in the first. He decides to use his new wealth to attack the other two. The first target is space. Musk is struck by how little progress human spaceflight seems to have made since the Apollo era. Launch costs are extremely high, missions are rare, Mars is a dream, not a plan. He reads deeply about rocket engineering and orbital mechanics. Initially he explores buying a used rocket from Russia for a small Mars mission to spark public interest. Negotiations go poorly. The rockets are too expensive, and Musk does not like being at the mercy of another country for access to space. On the flight home he does some rough calculations on the back of an envelope. He concludes that the actual materials cost of a rocket is far lower than its selling price. The gap, he believes, can be narrowed with better engineering and relentless focus on reusability. In 2002 he found Space Exploration Technologies, SpaceX, with a simple but audacious goal: make rockets dramatically cheaper and more reliable, and ultimately enable human settlement of Mars. The early SpaceX crew works in a factory near Los Angeles. Many come from established aerospace companies, others are fresh out of school. Musk dives into the details of engines, structures, and avionics. He is not content to be just the money man. He wants to understand every bolt. The first SpaceX rocket, Falcon 1, is designed as a small, relatively low-cost launcher. The team chooses a remote site on Kwajalein Atoll in the Pacific Ocean for launches. Getting there with equipment, fuel, and people is an ordeal. Between 2006 and 2008, Falcon 1 flies 3 times. Each attempt fails before reaching orbit. The company's money drains away with each explosion. Engineers are exhausted, some doubt they will ever succeed. At the same time, Musk has made another huge bet: electric cars. In 2004 he invests in a young company called Tesla Motors, founded by engineers Martin Eberhard and Mark Tarpenning. Tesla's goal is to prove that electric vehicles do not have to be slow, ugly, or boring. Musk becomes chairman of the board and later, after conflicts and leadership changes, CEO and product architect. Tesla's first car, the Roadster, faces repeated delays, cost overruns, and technical problems. By 2008, both Tesla and SpaceX are near collapse. Musk goes through a divorce. Personally and professionally, he is stretched to the breaking point. In August 2008, SpaceX has money for one more Falcon 1 launch. Musk gathers the team and tells them what they already know: success is essential. On September 28, 2008, the fourth Falcon 1 lifts off. This time, everything works. The rocket reaches orbit. For the first time, a privately developed liquid-fueled rocket has put a payload around Earth. A few months later, NASA awards SpaceX a contract to deliver cargo to the International Space Station. The money and the vote of confidence save the company. Tesla also narrowly survives. Musk puts in almost all his remaining personal cash to keep it afloat. New investors join. The company pushes forward with its next vehicle, the Model S, a luxury electric sedan. When the Model S launches in 2012, it shocks the auto world. It is fast, stylish, and capable of driving hundreds of miles on a single charge. Reviewers call it one of the best cars ever made. Slowly, the idea that electric cars are a compromise begins to fade. Through the 2010s, both SpaceX and Tesla grow rapidly. SpaceX develops the Falcon 9, a larger rocket capable of carrying cargo, and eventually people, to orbit. Early versions burn up or crash when the company attempts to recover the booster stage. But in December 2015, a Falcon 9 first stage descends through the night sky and lands upright on a pad in Florida. Months later, another lands on a drone ship at sea. The image of a rocket returning to a pinpoint landing looks like science fiction, but it is now a repeatable engineering reality. Reusability begins to drive launch costs down. In 2012, the SpaceX Dragon capsule becomes the first commercial spacecraft to dock with the International Space Station and return cargo to Earth. In 2020, Crew Dragon carries NASA astronauts Robert Behnken and Douglas Hurley to the ISS, restoring human launch capability from U.S. soil after the retirement of the Space Shuttle. SpaceX is no longer just an upstart, it is a central player in space. Meanwhile, Tesla broadens its lineup. The Model X SUV, with its distinctive Falcon wing doors, rolls out in 2015. The more affordable Model 3 follows, triggering a tidal wave of reservations. Tesla builds giant gigafactories for batteries and vehicle production in Nevada, Shanghai, Berlin, and Texas. Analysts who once laughed at the idea of a startup car company now face a new reality. Tesla is pushing the entire industry toward electric vehicles. Traditional automakers announce their own EV plans in response. Musk is not content with just cars. He sees energy as a whole system. In 2016, Tesla acquires SolarCity, a solar panel company co-founded by his cousins, and later introduces the Powerwall and other battery products for homes and utilities. The vision is clear: generate clean energy, store it, and use it to power transportation and homes. Alongside these major companies, other ventures orbit his attention. He is involved in the founding of OpenAI, a research organization focused on safe artificial intelligence. He starts Neuralink, which works on brain-computer interfaces that might one day help paralyzed people or enhance human cognition. He creates The Boring Company to explore tunneling as a way to ease traffic. He tweets about Hyperloop, a high-speed transportation concept, sparking real-world feasibility studies. By the end of the 2010s, Musk has gone from controversial entrepreneur to one of the most influential figures in technology. He is also one of the richest people on Earth, as the value of Tesla and SpaceX climbs. But wealth, for him, is mostly fuel. He repeatedly says that his goal is not to have yachts or islands, but to use resources to push humanity forward, especially toward Mars. The next big leap in that direction is Starship, a fully reusable launch system designed to carry large amounts of cargo and eventually dozens of people beyond Earth orbit. SpaceX builds Starship prototypes in Boca Chica, Texas, a site Musk renamed Starbase. The spacecraft look like retro science fiction rockets, made of shiny stainless steel. Test flights between 2019 and 2021 produced dramatic scenes, vehicles soaring into the sky, flipping for descent, and sometimes exploding on landing. Each failure generates internet memes but also valuable data. SpaceX iterates quickly, improving engines, control systems, and structures. In 2023 and 2024, full-stack Starship and Super Heavy booster combinations fly. The first integrated flights demonstrate enormous thrust and partial mission success but end in rapid unscheduled disassembly explosions high in the atmosphere or over the ocean. Regulators and engineers work through issues together. By 2025, Starship flights last longer, reach near orbital velocities, and achieve more controlled breakups and descents, moving steadily toward the ultimate goal: full recovery and reuse of both stages. While SpaceX builds the hardware for a multiplanetary future, another major twist unfolds on Earth. In 2022, Musk buys Twitter, the influential but financially troubled social media platform. After a public back and forth over the deal, he closes the purchase for roughly $44 billion. Almost immediately, he restructures the company, leadership changes, massive staff reductions, and a shift in content moderation policies. He rebrands the platform as X, reflecting his long-standing attachment to that letter and his vision of an everything app where people can communicate, watch videos, handle payments, and do business in one place. The transformation of Twitter into X is noisy and controversial. Supporters praise changes in moderation and increased transparency around algorithms. Critics argue that misinformation and harassment increase, and that rapid changes create instability. Musk himself becomes even more of a lightning rod, posting at all hours about politics, technology, and culture. Advertisers pull back and return in cycles. New features launch quickly, sometimes rough at first, sometimes sticking, sometimes reversed. X becomes an extension of Musk's own personality, bold, chaotic, experimental, and hard to ignore. During the same period, Tesla faces rising competition from established automakers and new Chinese electric vehicle companies. Yet it remains a leader in EV technology, battery management, and software. Full self-driving, FSD, Tesla's advanced driver assistance system, continues to evolve through over-the-air updates. The system still requires human supervision, but it steadily handles more complex driving situations. Musk remains convinced that a future of robotaxis, autonomous Teslas driving themselves as shared vehicles, is possible, though timelines slip from his earliest predictions. Tesla also ventures into humanoid robotics with a project called Optimus. At first, the robot is a person in a suit on stage, drawing laughs and skepticism. But over the next few years, real prototypes walk, manipulate objects, and perform simple tasks in videos released by Tesla. By 2025, early versions of Optimus are being tested in controlled factory environments, moving parts, and assisting with repetitive, low-skill work. Musk suggests that in the long run, robots could become a bigger business for Tesla than cars. Neuralink continues its research, and by the mid-2020s, it conducts initial human trials with brain implants aimed at restoring movement or communication for people with severe paralysis. The technology is delicate and the ethical questions deep, but the work fits a familiar pattern in Musk's life, taking on problems at the edge of science fiction and trying to drag them into reality. At the same time, SpaceX's Starlink satellite constellation grows to thousands of satellites, providing internet access to remote and underserved regions, ships, airplanes, and areas affected by war or natural disaster. Starlink terminals appear in villages, cabins, and emergency centers around the globe. The constellation also becomes a strategic asset, highlighting the new role private companies can play in global communications. By 2025, Elon Musk has become one of the most recognized and debated figures on the planet. For some, he is a visionary pushing humanity toward cleaner energy, a multiplanetary future, and bolder technology. For others, he is reckless, thin-skinned, or overly powerful, with social media decisions that can move markets and influence public discourse instantly. Many people hold both views at once. If a camera followed him for this entire journey, the documentary would jump between extremes. A boy reading alone in Pretoria, a young entrepreneur sleeping on an office floor, rockets exploding in tropical sunsets, astronauts floating in orbit inside a SpaceX capsule, production lines at Tesla gigafactories, frantic late-night meetings at Twitter headquarters, gleaming starships silhouetted against the Texas dawn. Through all the shifts, some patterns stay constant. Musk works intensely, often to the point of exhaustion. He uses first principles thinking, breaking problems down to physics and costs rather than accepting standard industry assumptions. He tolerates failure in experiments but not in effort. He stakes his fortune, reputation, and time repeatedly on goals that may not pay off for many years. He is willing to be early, wrong about timing, and heavily criticized, as long as he believes the direction is right. His stated reasons are surprisingly simple. He says he wants to help humanity reduce its dependence on fossil fuels. He wants to lower the risk that a single-planet civilization can be wiped out by disaster. He wants technology, and especially artificial intelligence, to be developed in ways that benefit, not harm, humanity. Whether or not he fully succeeds, his actions have already altered several industries. Cars and trucks are going electric faster, the space launch market is far more competitive and affordable, satellite internet reaches places where cables never did, social media platforms know they can be bought and rebuilt. By 2025, Elon Musk's biography is still being written in real time. SpaceX is working toward sending cargo starships to Mars later in the decade. Tesla continues to expand its model lineup and refine its software. X is evolving as a global conversation and media platform. Neuralink and Optimus stand at the early edge of what could become entirely new industries. Governments and regulators around the world debate how to engage with a man whose companies reach into energy, transportation, space, AI, and communications all at once. The future judgment of Elon Musk will likely be complex. Historians may praise him as the driving force that pushed multiple sectors forward and made Mars reachable. They may criticize his judgment in public communication, his handling of social platforms, or the intense culture inside his companies. Most likely, they will do both. But even in that future, one fact will remain hard to deny: he refused to live a small life. From the boy hiding from bullies with a science fiction book to the man walking under the shadow of a 120-meter tall rocket built to leave Earth behind, there is a straight emotional line, a belief that the world can and should be more like the stories we imagine when we are young. Elon Musk chose not just to read those stories, but to spend his life trying, wildly and imperfectly, to make some of them real.